check two. How y'all doing? Let me get a little more light in here. Not too much. How's everybody doing? Happy Easter. Let me get on my chat game. Just left the good doctor's stream. Left his and jumped on my. Just want to see how everybody's doing. Right there I am. So that's cool. So we're about to get started. Checking my phone. Once again, you know how we do it. If you have any cybersecurity questions, just drop them in the chat. Let's see, I'm not coming up on my phone yet, but I see me in the other place. So let's see. I think I'm good. Let's share my screen while we're waiting. Happy Easter, everyone. Let me just try to bring that up again. See if it's coming. I think it's good. Once again, if you got any cybersecurity questions, just put them in the chat. Okay, I see me on the phone, so I know I'm good. Let's go over a couple videos I did this week while people file in. I'm sure it's going to be thin because of Easter, so we're not going to take too long. It's a short. Should be a short stream. Let's get to the videos I did this week. So Axiom got hacked from a blockchain bridge attack. The bridge is the connection between blockchains and different coins. Like if you go on Doge to Bitcoin to Ethereum, right? There's a bridge or a translation that has to be done because they're not equal the same amount, right? So a Doge equals so many Bitcoin equals so many Ethereum, right? So you need a bridge to even that out, right? So instead of people attacking the blockchain itself, they're attacking the bridge between those two or three currencies, like, right? It's kind of like if you didn't know, there's oh my God, I can't even think of it. There's a large exchange where people exchange monies from dollars to Deutsche Banks, right? A lot of hackers actually attack that, right, to steal money between nations, right? So this is similar to that. So I was, I guess I wasn't surprised though. You're always going to go with the weakest link and do that attack. So nothing big, nothing out of the ordinary. And two, as those currencies get it together, right? They're going to strengthen that bridge. All right, so that's how it is. They find a weakest link, then security make it stronger. Same to here. Industrial systems, water, electrical. I wouldn't say nuclear, but that's in there. So there's special viruses and malware that are attacking United States industrial systems, right? So we know it's going to be a fallout from the war. Right, some of it's going to be those players, and some of it's going to be other players disguising themselves as Russia or one of those events, right, to attack us. So, and one of my subscribers made a good. You got to be very intentional how you attack an industrial system, right? Because most of those are kind of unique when you attack those. So that's pretty standard. So, coding boot camp. Lady got voted coding boot camp really wasn't happy. They have those income sharing agreements where, you know, when you work at the end, once you make over a certain amount of dollars, you pay them back by sharing your income, right? One of my subscribers really wasn't feeling that. Shout out to Citizen Lou. He wasn't feeling that. So, but long story short, we know you need to do your research. Check the boot camp out. Check the Better Business bureaus out. check the companies that they say they're placing their people at, right? Do those companies think this boot camp or whatever that company is a valid service, right? So we know that's happening. And Neuralink, shout out to Elon Musk. He's talking about buying Twitter, but Neuralink basically is they put a chip in your brain. Sometimes it can help. What's up? What's up? I saw you over there. I was checking the doctor out. I had to go jump on my own stream. What's up, him? And I always like to support the doctor. So I hope he does a separate stream on that on Twitter on that though, Helmet. I had some deep thoughts on the Twitter, but shout out to Elon Musk. He's running 3-4 companies, but I did the Neuralink with putting the chip in the brain. A lot of diseases, or if you have a brain injury or paralysis, right? You can hopefully have your brain move your robotic limbs or just to speak. I mean, if you look at Stephen Hawking, he had a thing in his mouth. If he could actually use his brain to speak, that would be a leap forward. Man, I'm here to help you. I appreciate the support. Yeah, I wanted to stay on the doctors. I should have pushed mine back. I was going to jump on the doctors. I really want to get in that Twitter debate a little bit, Helmet. So, yeah, they've been having issues. The monkeys passed away. I know one of the monkeys passed away. But shout out to Neuralink. I like Elon Musk. He does big things, big thinking, man. I mean, when you make those big leaps, well, I guess if you got that PayPal money, you can do those big type things. But no, shout out to him. So Neuralink, there's a lot of diseases, with plaque in the brain, hopefully. Autism, Parkinson's were some of the things I brought out in the video from a health and scientific standpoint that Elon was dabbling in with Neuralink. So shout out to him. Like anything new, I guess I'm reminds me almost of Dr. Jose. Back to no, that's true. 40 years ago, there's always something that starts that's a leap forward, Helmet. So you're right. A lot of things we do now is just stepping forward. I was joking. You went from pay phones to beepers. I showed my first bag phone. It looked like a laptop. Now now you got enough power that you can launch a rocket in your pocket from the 60s. So it's all stepping forward, Helmet. But that's a good point. So those are the 4 videos I did this week. The blockchain hack, industrial systems. I think our electricity is going to be shut off this summer. PBO is predicting that. Coding bootcamp scam. A lady was doing income sharing. I don't know if I like income sharing. Shout out to Citizen Loop. He didn't like that. So let's go ahead and get into classes. Super short today. So. We're just going to talk about the Linux and Macintosh filing system. They're pretty similar, actually. Shout out to the Unix-based systems. My favorite, Red Hat. I'm an old guy, so I've been doing Red Hat forever. So those are coming up on a couple of my future slides. Is send that up on Amazon and doing the EC2, which actually is Amazon Linux, which is a fork of Red Hat. So it's all good. So we're going to talk about the Linux file structure. These are old Unix boxes, Silicon Graphics, IRIX. I did SEO, Center Cruz, UnixWare. I've done Sun Solaris. I've done HPIX, and I've done HPUX, right? Those were all expensive Unix boxes before Linux was created, right? Linux is way cheaper, right? So some of the current Linux distribution is Ubuntu, super popular. CentOS, Mint, Fedora, Gentoo. Linux is only the core of the OS. That's true. I'm a Red Hat guy. Long story short is for 10 years, Federal would only really respect Red Hat. Even though it's Linux, you got to buy support if you're working on a Federal project because you got to have a service contract in case you need to get a security patch now. You can't wait for the community when you're doing basic Linux, right? All Unix like OS have a kernel, so do all Windows OSs, right? So remember that Unix and Linux commands are case sensitive. Wrong capitalization can mean your commands are rejected or incorrect. Review some Linux commands. So I should have put a few of those up there. So just going to go over it, like I said, real quick. The early file system standard was second extended file system. Then the third replaced EX2 in most Unix distribution. Then the fourth extended added support for partitions larger than 16 terabytes, improved management of large files, and offer more flexibility. Adoption of EX4 was slower in some Linux distribution, now considered standard file system for most, right? So everything is a file. Files are objects with properties of methods. Unix/Linux file system consists of four components. One of them is a boot block, contains the bootstrap code. Unix and Linux computers have only one boot block located on the main hard drive, right? So a lot of times when people hack you, they're trying to get you your boot block, right? Because they get to your boot block and you get malware in there. Every time it boots up, the malware is going to come back, right? So superblock specifies disk geometry, available space, keep tracks of all the inodes. It manages the file system. Inode first data after the superblock assigned to every file allocation unit. A data block is where directories and files are stored on the disk drive. This location is directly linked to the inodes, right? So what is an inode? An inode contains files and directory metadata. They also link data stored in data blocks. And inside inode contains the following: mode, type of the file or the directory, number of links to a file or directory, the UID and the GID of the files or directory of the owners, number of bytes in the file or directory, file or directory lacks access time, and last modified date. Right? So those are the basic things. When you look in the file, right, you see those. So from Unix directory and assign inode contains the following: last file status change, block address for the file data. We're going to see a picture of that coming up too. Indirect, double indirect, triple indirect block addresses for file data, current usage status of an inode, number of actual blocks assigned to a file, file generation number of version numbers, continuation of the inode link, right? So the first inode has 13 pointers. 1 through 10 are direct pointers to the data storage. Pointer 11 is an indirect pointer to link 128 pointer inode, and each pointer links directly to 128 blocks. Pointer 12 is a double indirect pointer, and pointer 13 is the triple indirect pointer. So that's actually what it looks like from the file system when you really look at it, right? So those are the pointers. Those are the blocks, right? Those are the block types. And it shows you the 128 pointers, right? So that's actually how Unix really goes, finds information and pulls it up, right? Super detailed, super boring. But if you're actually doing forensics on a disk, that's the information you need to know to figure out if somebody tried to delete a block or move a pointer or point it somewhere else, right? So what if you have a bad block inode? Keeps tracks of the disk by sectors. To find a bad block on a Linux computer, use the following command: bad blocks, you must be logged in as root to use. Make 2F or ES2F disk. Includes safeguards that prevent them from overwriting important information. What's up, blind guy? His wife. Happy Sunday. So what is a hard link? A pointer that allows access to the same file, different file names. Use a ln command to create a hard link. So if you have two files and you need to point to the same record, so a lot of times if we have scripts that need to run up startup for the user, the only thing different is the user name, right? We'll point to the same script. So when it spins up, the link will just run the script right of that file, and just the user and name will change, right? But a link count is filled inside inode that specifies the number of hard links. So that shows you the dot is the parent and the dot is the current directory. ls commands show the dot and the dot notation. At the top, somebody's trying to sudo, right? Switch user. So you can man that. So just basic Unix commands. So a symbolic link is a pointer to other files that aren't included in the link count. This is also known as soft links and symlinks. So 9 times out of 10, when we're actually doing our work, we're using soft links, right? This can point to items in other drives or other parts, have an inode of their own, not the same as the inode of the item that are pointing to. Depends on the existence of the destination that are pointing to. right? So this shows you the symbolic link there. So once again, a lot of times if we're running different directories or different files or different encryption, right, the encryption is going to be the same. So we use that in different directories for different files. The only thing we pipe in is just the name of the file, right? So we don't have to keep writing the same file over and over and over again. So that's the benefit of a soft link, right, or a symbolic link. Once again, the Mac a little bit, 10 code names, which is old, offers better security encryption. Uh, 10 Macintosh removed to the Intel processor became Unix based, right? Mac's been Unix based for years. Shout out to Mac. A lot of guys I know use Unix Macs because you can VM a Mac with multiple operating system and it's super powerful. So hierarchical file system, files are stored in a nested folder. Mac OS, I think what they're on now, 13, supports smaller file size on larger volumes, resulting in a more efficient disk use. That's why a lot of people like Mac. Introduce High Sierra. When the data is written to a device, metadata also is copied to help with crash protection. Apple's one of the top boxes out there. So this is why people buy Macs and why they really like them. So just gonna hit the high points and keep going. File consists of two parts: data fork and resource fork. Stores file and metadata application information. The data fork typically contains data user creates text and spreadsheets. Application also reading right to the data fork. Resource block contains additional information such as menus and dialog boxes. A volume is any storage medium used to store files and also can be part of a storage medium for hard disk drives. So that shows you the data fork and on the Mac file, then the resource fork. Where is it mapped at? Like they said, file information when it start, right? That over there is just straight data information, right? So that's the fork of a Mac. Once again, why you would want it and why people buy them. So volumes have allocations and logical blocks. Logical block contains and exceeds 512 bytes. Allocation blocks are set for consecutive logical blocks. To end of file description, logical EFF, that's the end of file, the actual ending of the file. Physical is the number of bytes allocated to the volume of the file, right? Sometimes you have a logical end of file because they want to actually just fill the blocks on it. What's up, Calvin? Glad you can make it. Just doing a little touching on computer forensics. Something nobody really ever talks about, so I just want to touch on it a little bit. Those are the logical blocks you see there on the Mac, and those are the allocated blocks on the side, right? The logical versus the physical. Those are the files that are spread out on those blocks. See, block 6 is kind of blank, right? Then 7 and 8, right? Somebody probably could have deleted something out of that block before C got started, right? So those are things that are actually moving. So just a high level how you store files in Unix. See the allocated block once again. One, those are the logical blocks inside, which are that shows you byte 0, logical end of file, position 512, and versus the physical end, which is 1024. So a lot of times when you save files, they really, if the logical end is there, you're gonna waste the rest of those blocks to the physical end. That's why years ago when you used to do access databases, they told you to actually make the file 1024 so you could take up the whole physical, logical, and physical block at the same time without wasting space, right? So that's the reason why they had you do that. What's up, Ty? Now, a lot of times you don't realize when you create files with Oracle and you tell them give them the space, Oracle does this behind the scenes for you and you're on Unix so you don't waste as much space as you used to. So clumps are a group of continuous allocation blocks to reduce fragmentation. Older Macs had two logical 01 as boot blocks. You have the master directory block, MDB, and the volume block. It stores information from MDB with OS mounts. Extents overflow stores any file information that's not the master directory or the volume information block. Right? So when you get down to the nitty gritty, when you're actually looking at your file on the disk and how it's managing your blocks, all right, this is actually what's happening behind the scene. The other weird part about it, I was talking to a friend of mine, is when you get VMware and SAN storages, they actually move blocks around and create new blocks on the file, so you won't have this fragmentation. You used to have to fragment your PC. You don't have to do that much because the files are actually moving it underneath, as much. So that, but when you physically talk about what's happening, this is actually what's happening behind the scene, right? Catalog the listing of all files and directories on the volumes, maintaining relationships between files and directory. A B star tree file system is earlier Mac version. Actual file data is stored on the leaf node and also uses header index and Mac nodes, right? So one of the things you have to do when you, what's up, Adrian? What's up, Ty? Glad y'all can join me. Appreciate that. Blind got his wife in their life. Let's talk about getting forensics procedures off of a Mac. There's some differences between Linux and a Mac. Linux has a home user and a root directory, and Mac the folders are a username private for our root. The home directory exists in the Mac OS, but it's empty. Mac OS users have limited access to other users' accounts, files, and guest account is disabled. All right. So when you go there from a forensics, what are you looking for? Where's the person's home user at? Because a lot of things people defaultly store things in their home directory on Unix. So those are the differences really between Linux and Mac when you're talking about home users. For forensics procedures, you must know where the file system components are located and how both files and components are stored. Application settings are in three formats: plain text, plist files, and a SQLite database. Plist files are preference files for installed applications on the system. File folders used to encrypt and decrypt the users and users directories. Right. Yeah. So if you go even to Apple phones, they actually have a database in there. It's usually SQLite or FileMaker Pro. Right. So when you save stuff on your phone, from a Mac perspective, there's a database on there. A lot of times people try to hide stuff on their database, and hackers hide stuff on there to copy your information or take screenshots. And so when they're able to get it off your phone, it's stored into that database, right? So that goes both ways. Keychains are files used to manage passwords for application, website, and other system files. The My Application Keychain access enables you to restore passwords. Deleted files are in the trash can folders. If a file is deleted at the command line, however, it doesn't show up in the trash. Acquisition methods in Mac. Make an image of the drive. Remove the drive from the Mac mini case is difficult. Attempting to do so without Mac Apple factory training could damage the computer. That means your warranty will be damaged. But once again, we're talking about forensic. And if you look in the past, I guess I should have took a screenshot of that. When people try to access a Mac phone, a terrorist had the Mac phone, and they was trying to get access to it, right, to get information off of it, right? It's difficult. Also, default for MacBook Air, you need special screwdrivers. Use a macOS compatible forensic boot, CD or DVD. Now, it'd probably be USB drive is more common, right? With that, Black Bag Technology sells an acquisition product specifically designed for OS 9 and 10, and even the newer versions. I think they still do that. Mac acquisition is a forensic boot CD that makes an image of a Mac drive. After making acquisition, it examines an image of a file system. The tools used to depend on the image of the file format, right? So some organizations let people have Mac, and some organizations don't like Mac. My organization, we usually stop people from getting Macs, right? It's just for us, it's just such different compared to our standard PCs, and it's just easier, and they're a lot more expensive, right? Tools for working with the raw format. You have black bags, sub rosa, guidance, x-ray, and the one we use a lot in class was access data ftk. That's kind of the standard one out there. Being able to turn off a mount function in Mac OS allows you to connect a suspect drive to a Mac without a write blocking device. So for some of the standard Linux forensics tools, uh, you're going to use commercial computers forensic tools that can do analysis on the standard extension 2, 3, 4, and riser FS and file systems. Those are standard forensics. Depending on how you set it up on a book, we usually just use the Linux extensions 2, 3, and 4. I think that's pretty standard. Freeware tools such as SleuthKit, web browser interface, and Autopsy browser. Foremost, a freeware carving tool that can read many images and file format. A tarball is data file containing one or more files in a whole directories and their content. So when you download, usually applications, web servers, and Tomcat usually come in a tarball. That's just actually a Unix zip file. If you use pkzip on Windows, that's just similar to a pkzip file. You can download the Sleuth Kit. I was actually looking at it the other day. You can go out there and that will help you do forensics on a box. Once again, you just have to log in as root, which is common a lot of times when you're doing forensics on a box. So that's what it looks like when you start Autopsy, web browser, file, encryption is built in. It shows you the because it's a website, so you do local host, so that's going to be the same machine you're on. You bring up Autopsy, you bring up these files, and at the top you got terminal file editor, search. We search through a lot of emails, so for harassment. So product used. Obviously, they're running this on Ubuntu in the Oracle VirtualBox. So once again, Autopsy Forensic, that's what it looks like with the salute dog over there. So you can Amazon look up stuff, look in. It's a lot of times people delete a partition, but it's still information on there. So you can actually go look at that partition and see what's on there. So once again, in real life, you would create a case, a description. So like a lot of times we do harassment with cyber harassment, people sending people crazy stuff in email. So you would start a case, put who's got harassed, who's in it, who's their boss, right? So you just build a case in an autopsy. It's pretty simple. So um, then two is host name, description, time zone, time skew adjustment. So my company, we're all in the same time, right? So usually you're just talking about usually what host names are you looking at. So that was it. Like I said, this was super short. It was Easter. I didn't want to bore people to death. Let me drop the link. Um, like I said, I was just enjoying my Easter, so I thought I would do something short and quick for today. I know everybody's enjoying their Easter. I'm trying to get motivated. I don't feel like going back to work tomorrow, but I dropped the link. Like I said, I was actually on the Dr. Anwar's channel. We were not arguing, we were discussing Twitter at a high level. So I just left over there. So once again, I just want to do something short for today. I want to wish everybody a happy Easter. I got to tighten up on my slides. I had a couple inputs. I got to do a little better on my slides. So I think that was the last forensic chapter. So some high level. So we're going to get back to AWS and security. So I think that seems to be a little more popular. So I think next week I'm going to do S3 bucket, doing file movement between other systems. So we'll set the bucket up, and then we'll show how to upload files directly into Amazon and encrypt them before we put them in, take them out, unencrypt them, do role permission so only that person can get in their directories where they should upload files. Yeah, I think I'm gonna eat a little salad and get a little walk in. Today's a good day with good weather. Yeah, it's pretty for Indiana. It's about 55 for this time of year. It's not too bad. So I'm getting a brisk walk. So once again, everybody have a happy Easter. Thanks for joining me. And Monday's almost here.